For most Catholics in America, Sunday Mass doesn't quite look or sound like this. This is the traditional Latin Mass, also known as the extraordinary form of the Mass, since it isn't common to see it in most Catholic churches. It's happening inside a small country parish in Benedict, Maryland. But the Catholic families here won't be able to fill these pews and worship like this much longer.
We've been so grateful to have this parish, and we're very sad to see what's happening.
Soon, Sarah Buck, her husband Josh, and their 5 children, along with all their fellow parishioners at St. Francis de Sales Church, will have to go elsewhere if they want to attend the traditional Latin Mass.
We just can't leave. I mean, it's been beautiful.
We've always been very Catholic in the traditional sense.
On September 21st, the Archdiocese of Washington, covering the District of Columbia and parts of Maryland, will officially implement restrictions placed on the extraordinary form of the Mass, following new rules set forth last year by Pope Francis. The Archdiocese of Washington is just one of the church territories around the world in the process of responding to or enforcing the Pope's directive entitled Traditionis Custodes, meaning guardians of the tradition. In it, the Pope called for greater unity and less division within the church, saying he desires to press on ever more in the constant search for ecclesial communion. For 4 centuries, the Tridentine, or traditional Latin Mass, was the most common Eucharistic liturgy in the Church. But that changed in the 1960s. Liturgical renewal at the Second Vatican Council would call for full and active participation among lay Catholics at Mass. And in 1969, what is known today as the Novus Ordo Mass, Latin for New Order, was introduced. Also referred to as the ordinary form of the Mass, it's now the most common way that Mass is celebrated in Roman Catholic churches. If you've been to both forms, you can probably spot some noticeable differences in the liturgy, and you will hear them too. The traditional Mass is celebrated in Latin, while Latin is the official text of the Novus Ordo. It is normally celebrated in the vernacular, the language common to the particular region of the world where it's being celebrated. So in the U.S., English.
Brothers and sisters, that my sacrifice and yours may be acceptable to God.
Following the Second Vatican Council, Popes John Paul II and Benedict XVI both allowed accommodations for the celebration of the traditional Latin Mass, while still recognizing the legitimate reforms of Vatican II and the Novus Ordo Mass as the new ordinary form of Mass for Catholics. But now Pope Francis has expressed concerns that accommodations for Latin Mass made in hopes of meeting the different liturgical needs of Catholics and unifying the whole Church have been exploited, and encourage disagreements that injure the Church, block her path, and expose her to the peril of division. Pope Francis isn't banning Latin Mass, but he has ordered guidelines to be followed, and he's leaving it to local bishops to decide how to best enforce them. In the Archdiocese of Washington, church communities built around the traditional Latin Mass and the priests who guide them are having a hard time grappling with this new reality.
I don't see clearly right now the road ahead, but we'll do the best that we can.
Father Kevin Cusick is the pastor at St. Francis de Sales. He has always offered the Novus Ordo Mass here and will continue. But about 6 years ago, he made a decision. Father Cusick described his parish as being on the verge of death, with low Mass attendance and a stagnating faith within the community. But things started to change and the parish started to flourish when he began to predominantly offer the traditional Latin Mass.
It's almost a mystery to me. But I think it just comes with a holistic embrace of all of our Catholic values. That here we have a very intense experience of community.
At St. Francis de Sales, you'll find packed pews and notice a lot of young families who have found something fresh and invigorating in a Mass that is considered old.
You know, our children are moved by everything that they see. I mean, it's a whole experience of the senses. It's not just, you know, sitting there. It's what you see, what you hear, what you smell with the incense. Everything is touched, and understanding that it's all for the glory of God.
In America, it is a relatively small community. According to a Catholic news agency report, there are about 150,000 traditional Latin Mass-going Catholics, less than 1% of regular Mass-going Catholics in the U.S. But amongst this minority, there is passion and commitment.
There is vibrancy. There is a zeal not only for the liturgy, but there's a zeal for the church.
For 33 years, Patrick Lally has been going to St. Mary Mother of God Parish in downtown D.C., where he attends the traditional Latin Mass. St. Mary's offers the Novus Ordo Mass as well, but Lally feels a level of deep spiritual fulfillment and reverence participating in the extraordinary form. He welcomed us into his home a few blocks from St. Mary's. He isn't sure of the road ahead for himself or his parish, which could lose parishioners and financial contributions with the loss of the Latin Mass.
The primary concern for me is the loss of the Latin Mass in my parish. It's this notion that the Latin Mass shouldn't be part of parochial life.
Among the limitations ordered by Pope Francis, unless an exception is requested and granted, there is to be no celebration of the extraordinary form of the Mass in parish churches. The Archdiocese of Washington has ordered the removal of the Latin Mass in all parishes and designated 3 locations where it can continue on Sundays, including St. Dominic Mission Church, a few miles from St. Francis de Sales in southern Maryland. This church is just 10 minutes down the road, and there is the option to continue the traditional Latin Mass here. But parishioners at St. Francis de Sales say what isn't built here is that established community that they had for years.
Oh, we'll definitely disperse it.
And there are practical concerns. Sid Marcus is a longtime parishioner at St. Francis de Sales, and he's seen the community grow. He says St. Dominic will only hold 1/3 the capacity of St. Francis.
You know, we can't all go there for one Mass. It's not going to happen. We can't physically, fire marshal will be there in a heartbeat.
Sarah and Josh Buck worry about fitting their growing family into the new church.
You know, we fill up a pew by ourselves. We're just not going to have the space for my family and other families like us.
Father Cusick finds Latin Mass restrictions within the broader church confusing when he's found his own parishioners to be very committed to the Catholic faith and church teaching.
I struggle to understand why at the same time our bishops are decrying the loss of Catholic identity and above all the loss of Catholic belief in the true and real presence of Christ in the Eucharist. Why are we trying everything else but our own Catholic tradition?
Another concern Pope Francis raised in his letter to bishops accompanying Traditionis Custodes was that the use of traditional Latin Mass is often characterized by a rejection not only of the liturgical reform, but of the Vatican Council II itself, claiming with unfounded and unsustainable assertions that it betrayed the tradition and the true Church. The Pope continues by saying to doubt the Vatican II Council is to doubt the Holy Spirit himself who guides the Church. Although it may be true of some Latin Mass communities, Patrick Lally and Pastor Cusick both said they don't find a rejection of Vatican II within their own communities. And they both said they don't have a problem with the Novus Ordo Mass, but there are concerns about it being celebrated in an irreverent way.
I think it should be deeply offensive to every Catholic.
Pope Francis adds agreement in his letter to bishops. I am saddened by abuses in the celebration of the liturgy on all sides. With the goal of unity in mind, a question remains: could there be a way forward? Could liturgical energy from both the laity and clergy be directed toward ensuring the Novus Ordo Mass is done in a beautiful, reverent way, incorporating elements of the old into the new, guarding, growing, and passing on the Catholic tradition? Mark Irons, EWTN News in Depth.